A case involving nuns, Catholic hospitals, and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services went before the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals yesterday. The contention comes over an HHS mandate for hospitals to perform sex reassignment procedures. The Catholic hospitals argue the mandate forces healthcare providers to perform potentially harmful surgeries on patients, including children. Joining me now to discuss this is Roger Severino, Senior Fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center and Director of EPPC's Health and Human Services Accountability Project. Roger, welcome back. Always so great to see you. Talk to us more about this case and the history behind it. I understand two lower courts previously struck down the mandate.
Yes, and it's complicated legally, but it really comes down to this. Does the federal government have the ability to force doctors and religious employers to perform sex reassignment surgeries or cover that through their insurance? This is under the Affordable Care Act, Section 1557. It's an anti-discrimination provision, and there's been a lot of back and forth from the Obama administration through Trump through now Biden as to whether or not the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, requires these sorts of experimental treatments, especially on minors. The Trump administration said no, it does not. The Biden administration most recently has said it's going to apply the law to cover transgender issues. Now, you have dueling court decisions saying you cannot do this and another saying you can, and it's now being elevated to the Circuit Court of Appeals. I'm very interested to see how it's going to go. But the bottom line point is now the administration currently is pushing very aggressively, despite being struck down twice by federal district courts, to push this sort of transgender policies on unwilling doctors and businesses of faith.
Roger, can you talk a little bit more about the argument the Biden administration is using in this case? And also, how does the Bostock versus Clayton County case, how does that case play into all of this?
So the arguments that are before the court right now are about standing, a technical doctrine as to whether or not the harm is impending or not. The question as to why this case has gone as far as it's gone is because of what happened after the Bostock decision. This was a Supreme Court decision that said sex discrimination does actually cover transgender status for Title VII employment discrimination. The Biden administration has said that's going to apply to other areas of law. Wherever else sex is prohibited under anti-discrimination law, they're going to say it applies to gender identity. Now, this is problematic for many reasons. For healthcare, biological sex matters tremendously. Drugs that are prescribed to people, certain conditions, mental health, so many things are specific to being male or female. OBGYN practices, of course, are dependent very much on the physical, biological realities and the differences between male and female. So it's quite a stretch to say that because one decision in Title VII, workforce employment, has to necessarily cover health. But that's what the Biden administration is saying and doing. It's taking the Supreme Court decision and it's going to apply it universally. And that's why you have this litigation now in the healthcare arena.
Roger, what's at stake with this case? Talk to us more about that. And also, how do you think this will ultimately play out?
Well, this is a battle that's going on right now. There are some forces that are saying that biological sex should not matter when it comes to healthcare. And you saw that Texas just this week opened up an investigation against big pharmaceutical companies for their use of puberty blockers in children without disclosing the potential harms under a consumer protection statute. So you have this pushback. A couple of other states have prohibited transgender surgeries on minors. Remember, these drugs and these surgeries can lead to permanent infertility and sterility in children who, as we're now discovering, as we learn more and more about gender dysphoria, naturally resolves in up to 95 to 98% of the cases. Yet you have doctors using off-label drugs that have these permanent effects, surgeries on children that can never be reversed. And so many kids are coming of age saying, I was pushed onto this and nobody hit the brakes. So this is the broader issue, is what is going on in healthcare, whether we're going to follow science and good medical practice or these ideologies pushing these experimental treatments on children that will have irreversible harm on kids.
Well, Roger, thank you so much for your time and speaking about this. We always appreciate your analysis.
Thank you.